So what's up, y'all? It's your boy Sean P back again with another edition of Hip Hop Roundtable Reviews. Today we're going to get back to another edition of Who Had the Better Listen or What Albums the Better Listen, and we're going to take a look at some mainstream projects that dropped with some fairly with a fairly decent amount of buzz, and that's Rick Ross, Set in Stone, and also Future, The Real Me, um, which both are pretty fairly well known names in the mainstream. Um, I think both are, you could call them, I'd say, are legends in their own right. I mean, Future is a legend of the 2010s, and that whole trap wave revolution of the 2010s, and Rick Ross is a legend of the 2000s. You could almost say legend of the 2010s with some of the work he's put out. So let's start with Rick Ross, Set in Stone. Let's get to that. Rick Ross, Set in Stone. Um, Let me hold on a minute. Yeah, so Rick Ross, Set in Stone. Um, just to set some backstory, like I said, um, Rick Ross is, I think, one a down south hip hop legend. He's had, I think, maybe a couple of classic projects. Um, Teflon Don comes to mind. I think Rather You Than Me is a very underrated album, borderline classic. Some people say Deeper Than Rap's a classic record from him. He's done it on so many different levels as far as um, some of the mainstream songs from I'm On One, from Every Day I'm Hustling to um, he had some legendary hip hop songs in his catalog. Just did a verses with French Montana that got quite a bit of attention at the same time. Is in a few controversies, the back and forth with Drake, of course, where they're in a troll fest going back and forth, and him and 50. I'm going to speak a little bit on the record sale performance of this, which didn't do too well. What expected, what it was. Well, I'll speak about the record sale a little bit later. But anyway, let's just get right into it. Um, what did I like about this project? I like some of the singles on here. Um, at first, I didn't really care too much for Minks in Miami, but I think that's a banger. That's a summertime banger. And Caskets. I think I like his lyrics was pretty good on here, but he's been better. Um, and I like some of the features on here too. I think some of the unknown guys that he hasn't had on here. Um, I think his name is Nino Breeze, I want to say. I like the Dream feature. Yeah, Nino Breeze. I think he's a pretty dope rapper, and I like Gucci Mane, that feature. So some of the features were cool. Um, Now, as far as what I didn't like, um, if I could find my banner yet, um, What did I not like on this? I think the energy of this album was um, the energy on this album wasn't what I expected. You know what I mean? I think he's been better as far as the sequencing of songs. I think the middle of the album had some real dead spots. Um, and I think some of the songs that he had were I don't know what direction he was going with it. Like the song at the end with the song at the end as I make up this banner real quick, you know. The song at the end that really was like, what was the point of it? I think the song was what was it? Um, Do It One Time, you know, which was like a Miami booty bass type of throwback single. Um, I think even though I said lyrically it was okay, he's been better in the past. Um, I thought this album was too long. It definitely could have cut out um, a good portion of songs out of the middle of this album, you know, and I just didn't think it had a real direction. I think production wise, it was cool, but he's been better in the past. Okay. It wasn't something that I didn't like, you know what I mean? But I mean, overall, definitely too long. Um, some of the songs I could have done without, and I didn't know what the direction of this album was. You know what I mean? So let's go through some of the track list here. So Caviar Bumps, okay intro, not great, but I think it sets up Mahogany Caskets and Minks in Miami, which I told you I think were the strongest singles on here. It's really is two singles. I think on Mahogany Caskets, I think T.I. out rapped him a little bit. T.I. really showed out in this. And low key, T.I. I think is MVP, is candidate for MVP of this year after his album and what he's been doing on this feature. So I think T.I.'s been doing his thing. Minks in Miami, I like. I kind of don't like um, Max B's hook. It's kind of offbeat. Like, and since Max B's come back, I've been disappointed. I'll just say that. But I still like the two singles, two strong cuts, two singles. Um, T.I. takes a couple shots at 50, and they took a couple shots at 50 on Mahogany Caskets. Pretty decent there. So I like those singles. Camel Meat with Dion Cole. Dion Cole does a comedic intro. I think I think this should have been the intro. This has some oomph to it, some energy. You know what I mean? And I like this single, but I would have had it at the top, had it be the intro to this, and then went into Mahogany Caskets and Minks in Miami. But I like this. It felt like the album started over for some reason on this one. Maybach Music 7. I like this track, even though I like the other Maybach musics have been better, but I like this track. I'm a big Don Toliver, and I'm a Jeezy fan, so I like that. Um, City Lights with the Dream is pretty good. And then Chain of Command, I think, is low key the best cut on here outside of the singles. Like, I like that. I like the beat. I like the energy. I like the swagger on here. And it's definitely got a smooth feel to it. You know what I mean? Remarkable Hustle, Nipsey Hustle tribute, dope single like that. And Big Fish with Gucci Mane, that's a banger. Low key banger. May not get that much of attention, but I like that. Definitely a street banger. And Diamonds Never Dies, a smooth joint. Like that one. Kodak Black's on there. He sounds like Lil Wayne for some reason. So that was pretty good. And the last track, The Algorithm, that's definitely a way to close out. So it closed out strong. Algorithm is a hard cut. I like the sample with the choir in the background. That definitely was the dope joint. Songs I did not like, and like I said, like Caviar Bones is an okay single, but Face Down with Rich the Kid, Metro Boomin beat, it just didn't fit the theme of this album to me. He could have done with that. That song's trash to me. Tried a little like a turn up trap banger and just didn't fit the context of this album. Living Large with Big X the Plug, who's a big deal right now. Big X the Plug is one of the up and coming young rappers in this game. That was a disappointment. The beat was dinky. Their back and forth could have been better. I wasn't feeling that. Purple Fentanyl and 23 was not feeling 23. I thought Ross Flow was kind of trash on there. He tried a high pitch flow on there. Was it 23? 23 or Porsche GT3? I think Porsche GT3 was the one. No, I didn't like his flows on both of those. So that really, I wasn't really feeling that. Yeah, Porsche GT3 was the one, and that really wasn't a good song. He tried this high pitch type of flow. It wasn't vibing at all. It wasn't vibing at all. And what else was on there? Big Fish I liked, and yeah, She's My Star with Young Miami. I get the whole Miami thing, and Young Miami's hot right now off of that Spend That record. Just thought to me it was like a kind of a weak reach to get a big name feature on there. I really wasn't feeling this record. I don't know what was the point of having that record. And like I said, do it one time. Another like a throwback feature to the booty bass sound of Miami, like circa like the 90s and 2000s. Really wasn't feeling that. So yeah, this album really was like half and half in the end of the day. So let's get to the ratings on this joint. Production, I go with a solid 8 out of 10. Ross has been known for having phenomenal production. I mean, I'm talking like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 production. It wasn't on this one though. Some of the beats were slow. Some of the beats was some old like kind of trap beats that kind of sounded outdated. So, but he still had some bangers on here. I'll give it 8 out of 10. Flows of energy. I think he took several risks that didn't fit. I thought he got out rapped on Mahogany Caskets by T.I. But Flows and Energy, I'll still give it a 7 overall. Probably like 6.5 to a 7, probably, on Flows and Energy. Features, I liked some of the features. Some of the other features, like Young Miami, I didn't like. I'll probably say features is probably like around. I'd go with a cool 7 on that one. And then lyrics. I'd say lyrically is probably like 7.5. Ross has been better than in the past. He's not a phenomenal lyricist, but he's been better in the past. But I'll say a 7.5, not too bad. Yeah, 7.5 to an 8. I'll be generous with it or whatever. And replay value, I'm be honest with you, I'm going with a 4. This album really does not bring any real attention to it. I think this overall is probably his weakest album this decade, weakest album in a long time, really. You know what I mean? Because I liked his 2021 project. I liked Port of Miami too. And I liked Rather You Than Me, which was underrated, borderline classic. But out of those couple of songs, and I don't even know how long those songs that I like. I mean, Mahogany Caskets and Minks in Miami have been on the radio for a while. I don't see myself playing this much longer. So what am I gonna go with overall? I'm gonna go with a 6.5 out of 10. Just kind of mid to me, man. I don't really think Ross has been definitely better in the past. It did not match the promo run that came out, and because it looks like Ross really did an extensive rollout. He did a bunch of interviews. He did Joe Budden's podcast. He did a dope versus with French Montana. Performed at the BET Awards, like all of this, and it just wasn't. It didn't have the right energy. You know what I mean? It just doesn't keep my attention. Outside of a couple of singles, I think even the song with Don Toliver and Jeezy could have been a tad better. The production was lacking on here. Yeah, matter of fact, now that I think about it, I'm gonna go. Let me change my score. I'm gonna go 7 out of 10 for production on here because some of the beats didn't really stand out to me, and I would have stuck more with a more of that Justice League kind of orchestral performance type of production. You know what I mean? Like the violins and the horns and all. I would have done more of those type of beats because it makes you feel like you're in a movie. So I'm going 6.5 out of 10 out of this. Now, there have been controversy. He's been trolled for getting weak sales. It's projected at one point he's going to get like 2,000 sales, right? 2,000 in 1 week. Streams and sales together. Turned out he got about 18,000 the first week. I think 17 and a half to 18 is the projection. The official numbers come out on Monday. And that's not bad, given he's an independent artist now. He's not getting pushed from a major label. And something for y'all to understand, a lot of these legacy acts, I mean, Nas last year, YG this year, T.I. as well. These independent aren't going to do the big numbers like 100,000 first week, even 50,000 first week. It's not that type of game anymore. So his sales aren't bad, but given the promo run he went on, I at least expected him to crack like maybe 30,000, you know? So he did underperform sales wise too. But overall, I'm going 6.5 out of 10. Not the biggest fan of this album. But still a mid to decent listen. So I'll check it out. Especially like me, someone who's like kind of a Ross fan. Ross is one of my favorite Southern rappers, believe it or not. Always puts on top a quality hip hop project and has a very quality catalog. But this one right here kind of missed the mark on me. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go with a mid 6.5 out of 10. Okay, now let's go to Future and let's talk about The Real Me. Hold on, let me pull this up. Future, The Real Me. So this is another guy. If you want to say he's one of the top rappers in the modern game, does that you know the modern day trap turn up style, you know what I mean? You know, and one of the legends of his craft as far as that school that brought you Young Thug and Travis Scott and Gunner and that whole wave of rappers. If you want to go on to now Yeet, who now is up and coming. So he created a whole wave. He's a legend in his own right for the music that he makes. And he came with a new project, The Real Me. Um, Now, what did I like about it? I like some of the production on here. Um, uh, his um, his flows was okay on here. I'd say his flows was pretty decent. But I'd say the production on here was his strength, even though he's been better in the past. Um, his energy was decent. You know what I mean? I think some of the singles on here, the more melodic, more R&B type singles were the better songs on here, like California Girls and Radio, which are the two lead singles on here. Um, I like those. And what did I not like now? I just think that it it just got boring to me. I think it was too long. Number one, 22 songs is way too long, but that's how Future makes his albums, and it's just redundant. It's just redundant stuff. He just talks about the same thing. It's just drugs, getting women, um, and money. That's it. And it's the same thing. Like this literally could be one long song outside of some of the melodic tracks on here where he's talking about girls, but he's talking about musing over women. You know what I mean? But overall, he just talks about a lifestyle, and he does this on every single album. You know what I mean? And his fan base eats it up. I mean, he sold, I think, 130,000 the first week, you know, which is low for him. But overall, I just got bored with this album. I'm like, even like some of the trap bangers that you might take for your workout, you might take to play in the car, put your windows down. Lacked the energy on this. It just, and the album was all over the place. He tried an attempt at a like a techno song at the end. Um, I want to say it was it Kick or Cast a Spell? No, I think it was Hollywood. Uh, it just wasn't hit. Oh, and Alice was another one that was just trash. I'll walk through the track list to tell you what I liked. Fuck an Interview had some good energy to it. No Misery, I like. California Girls, nice melodic single. Tank Top Pluto, I liked. Um, Snow and Skyami, I like that. I think he filmed he did some of this album out in Japan. Um, and Radio, I liked. Off the Hinge was a nice banger on there, and I'd say, and it lost some steam towards the end. Um, but it's like the same redundant stuff on here, you know. And I get it. You don't go to Future for lyrics, but if you get the same type of flow and same feeling over and over again, you know, it's like, all right, what are we really doing here? You know, what I didn't like, I thought Konnichiwa, that was kind of corny. The hook was kind of corny on there. Oh yeah, Trench Coat was pretty good. That wasn't bad. It was a short song. Build a Bitch was corny to me. I'm like, all right, like I'm gonna build the perfect chick. I mean, how many rappers done this before? It's like, really, dude. 2018 wasn't feeling. Hollywood. I mean, he tried to take a risk at a techno record, or was that Forgive a Feeling? Both of those songs really wasn't feeling it. Alice, I really wasn't feeling either. Um, so what are we gonna rate this album? You know what I mean? Um, I would say let's get back to the list. Production, I'll go with a 7.5 out of 10 to 8.5. He had the same bangers he does, but he's had better energy in the past. So 7.5. All right, I'll go with a cool 8 out of 10. I'll be generous on this. Flows of energy, 7. He's been better in the past, and he has some corny hooks on here I really wasn't vibing to, and some skippable moments. He's been better in the past. Features, forget about that. There were no features on there. In lyrics, it's Future, so I probably say that's a 5. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could be simple and still have some lyrics, because I even thought on We Don't Trust You he's decent lyrically. Nah, he was weak on this one, even from Future standards. I'm going with a 5 on this, maybe even a 4. And yeah, I'll go with a 5 on this. And then replay value, I'm going with a 4. Again, as far as this being a big mainstream project, it just falls short. Now I get it. He has a little bit of a stand base, and they're going to support it no matter what and stream the hell out of it. But it does not have the energy of like a We Don't Trust You. That was a very good Future album. That was one of his top projects from 2024. And that kept you. The production had a bite to it with Metro Boomin. Like the features on there from Weeknd to Travis Scott to Rick Ross on there that did his thing. And of course, Kendrick will like that. This was definitely a step down from that. So I'm going with a 4 on the replay value. And overall, what's my overall rating on this? Let's go with the drum roll, please. Overall rating. What are we doing here? I'm going 5.5 out of 10. This struggles to get to mid for me. And listen, Future, I'm not going to say I'm a fan, but I low-key respect his wave and respect what he's done. I understand his sound and I understand the vibe concept of hip hop, but this one just doesn't do it for me. It seemed kind of lazy, which lazy and redundant. And he's got a couple of tracks on here that are going to bang, but it just fell short to me. I'll go with a 5.5 out of 10. I don't see really the value of it outside of listening to it the first couple of times. I'll keep maybe 4 or 5 songs and add it to my Future mix and keep it moving. So I'm on 5.5 out of 10. So what album was the better listen? I'll go with Ross. I think Ross still had some of the energy he's had on past projects, but it fell a little bit short to me on that one too. So I'd go, it's a mid project. Check it out. It has a little bit more replay value than the Future project, but the Future project just doesn't do it for me. Struggles to get to mid. It's kind of more mid to whack. You know what I mean? So I'm not really feeling that. I would go by default. Rick Ross, Set in Stone, beats out Future. As far as two big mainstream name artists that's out there and have been in the news. I'd go with Rick Ross. And I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of disappointed by both. Both had a lot of buzz about them. I know Future had a lot of buzz coming out of the whole Drake Civil War situation. I know he's featured on Iceman and coming off of the We Don't Trust You albums, projects, and the mixtape he also put out um, in 2024. Disappointment. And same thing with Rick Ross. A little bit of a disappointment on both ends. I thought Ross was going to put out a project that was going to compete for top album of the year, and it fell short. It's just mid to me. It gets lost in the mix. I doubt Ross is going to make my top 20 this year. So with that, I will be back with some new reviews. I know I got to get to Rome Streets. Stay tuned for that. That's coming because I got a lot to say about that album. And we'll be back with some new content coming up during this week. All right. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.